number bonds to 100. Hello friends, look at these fruits. Here we have 10 apples and 10 oranges. In each of these groups, the number 10 was formed in different ways. Are you ready to learn about these ways? Let's start with these apples. If we take 4 of them and place them here, we are left with 6 apples, which we place there. If we count the 6 apples to the 4 apples, we get 10 apples. So my friends, 10 apples are made up of 4 apples and 6 apples. This means that the numbers of 4 and 6 collectively equal 10. We combine the number 10 with its components by replacing the "and" with an addition symbol. So we get 4 plus 6 equals 10. Through this method, we can form a number bond and represent it in addition sentences. Let's see how the number 10 is formed by these oranges. If we take 9 oranges and place them here, then we take the last orange and place it here. What can you notice, my friends? Excellent! These 10 oranges are made up of these 9 oranges and this single orange. This means that the numbers 9 and 1 are components of the number 10. This is another number bond to 10. Now let's describe this bond through addition sentences. We replace the "and" by the plus sign to get 9 plus 1 equals 10. Notice, my friends, that the number 10 is formed in different methods. It formed through binding 4 and 6, and it also formed through binding 9 and 1. This means that the number 10 is made up of number pairs. These pairs are added to get the number 10. There are other number bonds for 10. They can be found similarly. Number 10 is made up of 5 and 5, or 3 and 7. It is also made up of 2 and 8. When we write through addition sentences, we can see that 8 plus 2 equals 10, 7 plus 3 equals 10, and 5 plus 5 equals 10. Now, my friends, let's see what are the number bonds of 20. In order to find the number bonds of 20, we will need one of the number bonds of 10. Look at this, friends. The number 10 is made up of 7 and 3. Since we have a 10 here and we want to get the number bonds of 20, we place the number 20 here. Then we pick one of the components of the number 20 and add a 10 to it. So we get the number bonds of 20 as 7 and 13. Or we can add 10 here to get 17 and 3 as the number bonds of 20. We represent this through addition sentences by replacing the "and" with a plus sign. 17 plus 3 equals 20, and 7 plus 13 equals 20. So, my friends, in order to find the number bonds of 20, we write the number bonds of 10. Then we add a 10 to it, one of the components of the number bonds of 10. Let's take another example. We have the number bonds of 10, which are the numbers 9 and 1. Let's find the number bonds of 20. We put the number 20 here, then we add 10 to one of the components of the number bonds of 10. If we add it here, we can that number bonds of 20 are 9 and 11. We represent this through addition sentences by stating that 9 plus 11 equals 20. So now we can conclude that to get the number bonds of 20, we write one of the components of the number bonds of 10, then we replace the number 10 with the number 20, and we place the number 1 besides one of the components. It is a very easy method. Great job! Now we can find number bonds of different numbers. For example, here we have 14 apples. If we rack 11 and place them here, then leave the remaining 3 here, we can see, my friends, that number bonds of 14 are 3 and 11. This means 3 plus 11 equals 14. How about you help me find the components of number 18? There are 18 oranges. We take 13 here, then we are left with 5. So what are the number bonds of 18? Well done. The number bonds of 18 are 13 and 5. How do we represent that? Good job. We can represent that through number sentences. 13 plus 5 equals 18. You're brilliant. Now, my friends, how about we look at the components of number 100? Look at these beautiful cubes. In each group, there are 10 cubes, so we have 100 cubes. What would happen if we take the first 4 groups from this side? We would have 40 cubes, and we will be left with 60 there. So my friends, we can see that 40 and 60 make 100. So 40 and 60 are number bonds of 100. We can represent that through addition sentences by saying 40 plus 60 equals 100. There are other number bonds of 100. For example, 70 and 30 are number bonds of 100. We represent them using addition sentences like 70 plus 30 equals 100. We can also say that number 100 is made up of 90 and 10. Notice, friends, that number bonds of 100 are the same as those of 10, except we add a 0 to them. This means that if we take the number bonds of 10, which are 9 and 1, and we add a 0 here and there, we get the number bonds of 100. The addition sentence here is 90 plus 10 equals 100. Now, before we say goodbye, let's recall what we learned today. We identified number bonds of 10, and we learned that number 10 is made up of a pair of numbers which are added to make the number 10. We identified number bonds of 20, and we learned that they are the same as the number bonds of 10, but with the addition of 10 to one of its components. We also learned number bonds of different numbers. We learned that number bonds of 100 are the same as those 10, but with the addition of a 0. Finally, we learned how to write number bonds as addition sentences, and that is by replacing the and with a plus sign. Goodbye for now.